Thank you, Madam Tutu, for your kind introduction, and thank you, Madam Rajavi, for your leadership and for your very fiery speech. The Americans may think that they have handed over the responsibility for the safety of the people at Ashraf to the Iraqis, but the United States of America remains morally responsible for the safety of the people in Ashraf right now, today. When we disarmed the people at Ashraf in 2003, we promised them that we would defend them. Each one got a written piece of paper saying so. When we brought the Federal Bureau of Investigation's intelligence unit to Ashraf in 2006, every single member of the camp, 3,400 people, were determined not to have ties to terrorism or terrorists. Every single one. The courts in Great Britain, the courts in France, the courts in the European Union, and the courts in the United States of America have said this is not a terrorist group. Delist the MEK now so that we can save the lives of 3,400 innocent people in Ashraf. Now, the United States has a moral obligation to do this. If we fail, I can guarantee you this will be an election issue in the United States. The fact of the matter is, the American government is putting millions of dollars into Iraq as we pull our troops out. We are supporting a government in Iraq that is headed by a war criminal who one day will appear in The Hague. Now, the European Union has an extremely important role to play here, and I am delighted to see so many prominent European members of Parliament and leaders here today. The European Union has long been the conscience of the world as far as human rights go. Your foreign aid budget is much higher than ours. It is true that the United States does defend Europe and has in the past from outside threats, but Europe makes up for that by doing extraordinary things in the area of human rights and worldwide efforts to reduce the tremendous gap between the poorest of the poor living on less than $1 a day and those in the West. We need Europe to act. We need Europe essentially to shame the United States government in doing what they know they should do. That is the United States' job, and we have said so. But in the absence of moral leadership from the United States, we ask the Europeans to step in again and take the lead. We ask you to put some pressure on the American government to do the right thing, to call for the cancellation of the deadline imposed by the war criminal Maliki. We ask Europe to also put pressure on the United Nations. The United Nations has finally, as of 2 months ago, decided that they would do the right thing and begin the interviews of the individuals in Ashraf who have sought asylum. We need to stop talking and start doing. And yes, the United States has a responsibility for that. And so do the Europeans to this extent. You too are putting hundreds of millions of euros of aid into Iraq. Why are we funding a government headed by a war criminal? So, one, the governments of Europe and the United States need to demand that the deadline be eliminated. Two, we need to cut off aid if that's not done, all aid. Three, we need to demand that Prime Minister Maliki stop interfering with the United Nations effort to classify the people of Ashraf as refugees. And four, we need to cut off all aid if he refuses to do so. Five, we need to delist the MEK, I'm going to conclude by saying something I say often at these meetings. People ask me why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I believe in America. America is an extraordinary country. It's a country that has promised human rights and dignity. Sometimes we have fallen short, but we have a set of ideals in the Constitution of the United States and in the Declaration of Independence which celebrates mankind's goodness and hope. If we stand by while evil is allowed to happen to innocent human beings, then we have debased not only the process of what we have done in Iraq, we have debased ourselves as a nation. If you believe in America and you believe in American ideals, then you must stand up for innocent people everywhere, particularly those to whom we have promised safety. This is not just about the families in Ashraf. This is about what kind of a nation the United States of America will be going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here, and thank you, Mrs. Rajavi, for calling us all together again to call attention to something that we should not have to be calling attention to, which is the plight of the people of Ashraf and the disgraceful continuation of the United States government to keep the MEK on a list on which it should never have been placed and on which it should not continue to be. We've heard that the UN High Commissioner for Refugees has told the residents of Ashraf that they have the status of asylum seekers, and that is an important thing. Now it's time for us, everyone here, and the government of the United States to act. It is time to undo the deadline. It is time to delist MEK. It is time to unleash forces that, if they are unleashed, could stop tyranny. We know from papers that were seized after World War II that if anyone had stopped German troops from marching into the Sudetenland, they were under orders to turn around and go back. The same is true today. If we stand up and act in the face of tyranny and show it that we are determined, we being the United States, we being Europe, the European Union, we being free people everywhere, that we are determined to act, they cannot prevail. But if all we do is view with alarm and say that we're worried and say that we're watching, they will continue to act as they have. And so I join with Governor Ridge and Governor Dean in calling on my own government to act, delist MEK, and send a signal to the people of Ashraf to people all over the world that this kind of tyranny will not stand. And if we do that, then it won't. Thank you very much.